Okay, so a federal judge just ruled that states can't stop you from buying soda with food stamps, and everyone lost their minds about it. So I figured I'd just check. 1 month of groceries on the maximum SNAP budget is $298. Eating the way I normally ate, I went $63 over. Then I took that same exact cart and I added cookies, candy, soda, and cereal, and I didn't remove anything. I just piled the junk food on top, and I came in a few dollars under. So the junk food was cheaper, which is not what anyone in this argument thinks is happening. And look, I get why people want the restriction. The logic is clean. If the government's buying, the government gets a say, and the thing the government should be saying is not the Oreos. But that whole argument assumes junk food is the temptation, it's the devil, and real food is discipline. Like, the problem is that people keep reaching for the cheap thing, except when I actually ran it, the cheap thing was the only thing I could afford. The food that keeps me at, let's be generous, extremely mid health is the food that blew the budget. So, what's the restriction actually for? I'm Sanguinismo. I worked in crisis care for a year, which is where most of what I think about food comes from, and now I do policy. This is the first of three of these. Let's go shopping. The quick version of the ruling. So the judge struck it down on authority, not on health, not on nutrition, just a matter of who gets to decide. States run the program day to day, but the money comes from the Fed, and the federal law defines food as a category, not as a score. Soda is food, and that's it. That's the whole finding. And SNAP itself is less complicated than people think. Feds allocate money to states, states hand it out to households based on income and size, and households spend it at stores that opt in. Walmart, Food for Less, basically every chain you'd expect, plus a few you wouldn't. Every couple of months, someone posts a video of a person buying latte with EBT, and the comments go absolutely wild. But the thing is, that's the restaurant meals program, and it exists on purpose. It's for people who can't cook, unhoused, elderly, disabled, because you can't do the whole just make rice, it's cheap thing without a stove. Turns out the part everyone screenshots as abuse is the part that's working exactly as it's designed. Anyway, the actual argument is America's fat, everyone's seen the memes, and taxpayers are footing the bill, so why are we footing the bill for Skittles? Which, it's a fair question. It's just also a question with an answer you can check, and nobody checks it. So how about we check? So let's set some ground rules for this checking. So our ground rules are we do the maximum allocation for 1 month with prices anyone can pull up right now. I'm not doing anything clever. Rice first, obviously, for 32 ounces at $1.77, and that's the entire month. You can make one pot, freeze it, reheat it, and it tastes basically the same, and anyone who says otherwise is lying. Remember that number, it does come back. Protein, 12 beef patties, $14.97. 3 pounds of chicken thighs, thighs only, I don't want to hear it, $9.87. Cheapest ham, $3.97. Except that none of that lasts a month, so everything doubles. This is where the math stops being a fun little exercise. Vegetables, and I mean actual vegetables, not something out of a can. Tomatoes, $3.76 a vine for 5 vines. Ginger, bell peppers, onions, because I cook and those are what cooking is. Hang on to the not canned thing. That's going to turn out to be a choice with a price tag. So for the fruit section, let's do frozen mixed berries, $2.56 a bag for 8 bags. Grapes, $4.43, one a week. Plums, blackberries, raspberries, because I'm a person and I have preferences. And honestly, if this were taxpayer money, I would be spending every single last cent of that allocation, all $2.98, without any hesitation, and I would just go straight to checkout. Luckily for the Republic, I'm not on EBT. This is all my money, so don't worry, taxpayers. I'm saving your dollars one bunch of grapes at a time. And then also a box of Red Bull, because sometimes a girl has to wake up. The total comes out to $231.69, $66 under. So I guess it works. That's the entire video. Program's fine. Everybody go home. $66 under on Walmart prices, cooking from scratch. If you came into this thinking SNAP's fine, congratulations. You can close the tab. I just did your homework for you. Except, I don't eat sugar. Which isn't a discipline thing before anyone gets ideas. It's just that I spent a year in crisis care and it kind of changes how you look at a candy aisle. When people are coming off of stimulants, they go hunting for sugar. Fast sugars, like candy, soda, juice, and whatever's within arm's reach, immediately and constantly. The explanation you'll usually hear is dopamine and blood glucose, and honestly, the mechanism is still argued about, so don't quote me on the why. But the what isn't in dispute. It happens, and it happens to basically everybody. And it's not a character flaw, it's a nervous system trying to find the floor. And once you've watched that for a year, you kind of can't unsee it. A snack aisle stops looking like a bunch of choices and starts looking like a bunch of answers to a question somebody's body is already asking, whether or not you've noticed that it's asking. Anyway, I quit sugar, but I used to eat like a normal person, so let's do that version. So the me who ate sugar would have a tray of cookies, a bag of candy, ration across the week for an entire week. There's also a bottle of soda that goes into that. There's a gallon of milk, which Side note, has way more sugar in it than anyone acts like it does, and a box of cereal every 2 weeks. And I want to be really clear, I'm not taking anything out. The rice stays, the chicken stays, the tomatoes stay. Every single thing from the last 4 minutes is still in the cart. I'm only adding things. There's cookies, candies, soda, milk, and cereal on top of everything else. $294.71. We're still $3.29 under. I took every single item the restriction crowd wants banned and I dumped it on top of a full month of real groceries, and I changed nothing else, and I still come in under by $3. So we're still comfortably under the budget. But the me who doesn't eat sugar and eats what I want is still $63 over. So I can tell you for a fact it's not the sugar. So if it's not the sugar, then what is it? We're still $63 over for the same month, for the same person, and the same appetite. The only difference is that this cart is what I actually eat and not what's the cheapest one at the store. But what I'd make if no one was reading the receipt over my shoulder, because nobody shops at just one place. That's just generally not a thing people do. When your staple isn't there, you don't shrug and buy the store brand. You go and find it somewhere else, and you're going to eat the price difference. And here's what that first cart was hiding. The rice was $1.77 for the whole month. It was the cheapest thing in the entire basket, and the calories were basically free. What's not free is every single thing that turns rice into the food I recognize. The specialty store takes EBT, same as Walmart. It also costs more for the same category of thing because it's not moving Walmart volumes. So the second I want to eat the food I grew up eating, I'm paying a premium nobody budgeted for. And that's not a glitch, it's the formula. SNAP is pegged to something called a Thrifty Food Plan, USDA's model of the cheapest nutritionally adequate diet. It assumes you cook from scratch. It also assumes you eat a specific set of staples. It's very good at nutrients and calories and price per ounce. What it cannot model is that nobody eats nutrients, people eat lives. There's a version of this I recognize from somewhere else, actually. In Project Sekai, the thing about Night Court is that it's a group of people who've lost the ability to want ordinary things. And the way you can tell someone's coming back isn't that they get better. It's that they start caring about something small and specific again. There's a song they want to hear, or a song they want to finish. There's a person they want to see, and there's things they want to do. But the thing is, there's no line item for that. The plan costs a diet. It doesn't cost a life. And when I go over budget, it's not because I wanted a treat. It's because I wanted to eat like myself. I wanted to put seasonings in my food that taste like what I had growing up. So our total comes out to $361.40. We're $63.40 over. Not because of sugar, not because of treats, because of groceries. So back to the question. If junk food isn't what breaks the budget, then what's the junk food ban actually doing? This isn't nutrition policy. Nutrition policy would be going to fix the formula so that it accounts for what people actually eat. Or, and I know this is crazy, going after the companies that engineer the snack aisle in the first place. This is a completely different thing. SNAP or EBT, makes poor people's carts visible so that we know what they're buying and what they're spending their allocations on. It's a policy about being watched, and I think that's most of the appeal, which might be why all of the energy goes here at the checkout and not to the aisle. And an obligatory caveat, I mean this is an N of 1. My grocery cart proves absolutely nothing about the millions of households actually on this thing, and if you want to come at me in the comments about sample size, you're right. I don't have any defense. But the size isn't the point, the mechanism is. If one extremely average shopper without any allergies, without kids, without a medical diet, cooking every single meal from scratch, in a state paying the maximum, still cannot afford to eat like themselves, then the question was never whether people are choosing wrong. It's what this budget was ever supposed to buy. So, the junk food was in fact cheaper than the food, not because junk food is cheap, but because everything else got expensive and the formula only ever accounts for your calories. The next one is on whether people on SNAP actually eat the way the discourse says they do. After that, why we're all arguing about the cart instead of the aisle. Tell me what you eat in a week. I'm genuinely curious what breaks your budget. I'll be over here saving the Republic one bunch of grapes at a time.